Dear students, in our previous classes, we have learned the concepts of agriculture and the primary sector. We learnt about the measures taken by the government to improve Indian agriculture very detailedly. Today, let us move on with a new heading, what we have as Green Revolution. See, the term revolution and evolution, when you compare these two, both bring changes. But in revolution, changes are quick, fast, sudden, whereas in evolution, the changes take place in a gradual manner, in a slow manner. Here, the term green we refer to clear. The term green refers to clear food grain products. So, such sudden or quick changes that took place in the agriculture production we term as green revolution. So, let us try to know meaning of the term green revolution and in which parts of the country this green revolution took place. What are the pros and cons of it? That is, advantages and disadvantages, phases of green revolution, how it was witnessed in different parts of India. Let us discuss in detail. First, let us try to know meaning of green revolution. The term green revolution signifies revolutionary changes. That's what I told you. Quick, sudden, rapid changes that took place in the agriculture productivity and production of agriculture crops. Or you can also define in the other way that growth of agriculture production during 1966-67 to 70-71. I think you are aware after India's independence, let us say 4 5 years later, that is in 1951, the government of India launched 5 year plans for the rapid growth of the country or to achieve economic development. Especially during the fourth 5 year plan. When I say fourth 5 year plan, clear 1967, 66, 67 up to 70, 71. During that particular time period, agriculture sector witnessed enormous growth in the sense that an unprecedented way the agriculture production increased. That is mainly attributed due to mechanization of agriculture and use of modern technology and better quality seeds are what we call them as hybrid quality seeds or HYVS and implements also fertilizers pesticides they all in fact it supplemented the HYVS which increased the agriculture production. Observe the next point here that in 1958 the government of India invited an expert team of Ford Foundation of USA. In fact, the committee or an expert team from America, it was invited to India and that committee was referred as Ford Foundation. It was invited in order to suggest measures to improve agriculture productivity. In fact, the government of India was very keen in increasing the agriculture productivity, but they wanted some expert committees' recommendations. So, in order to receive recommendations from a foreign committee, Ford Foundation was invited to India in 1958. This team submitted the report in 1959. The very next year, it submitted the report. And this report, in fact, it suggested that India should introduce HYVS, that is, high yielding variety of seeds, what we call them as hybrid quality seeds. Then, improved agricultural implements. When I say agricultural implements, mechanized agriculture. Recollect what you have learned previously tractors, tillers, harvesters, threshers. These are all the implements, improved implements. Recollect when we have learned under technological reforms. Under that, we have discussed all those implements. And besides that, in order to increase the fertility of soil, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, And to supplement these HYVs, proper irrigation, all these have to be introduced in Indian agriculture. That was recommendation given by Ford Foundation of USA clear in the year 1959. However, on the basis of the recommendations submitted by Ford Foundation, the government of India selected seven districts. Remember, focus on this number. Seven districts were selected in order to introduce this new technology. In fact, the government of India took this recommendation in a very serious note, and it decided to introduce these recommendations as a pilot program in seven districts. This project was named as IADP. Observe this, IADP, that is Intensive Area Development Program. I repeat, Intensive Area Development Program. Again, in 1965, the program was extended to 114 districts under IAAP, that is Intensive Agricultural Area Program. Remember, you should be able to differentiate between IADP and IAAP. IADP is Intensive Area Development Program, but this is Intensive Agricultural Area Program. See, in the beginning, IADP was introduced in seven districts, but later IAAP was introduced in 114 districts of India. Due to the adoption of new technology, yield per hectare increased during 1966-67, especially wheat crop. See, whenever we think of Green Revolution, remember the success of Green Revolution in fact started from the wheat crop, because that Ford Foundation, you take it, in fact initially whatever the measures which was suggested, that was adopted in the states of Punjab and Haryana, and hybrid quality of seeds were developed only for wheat, as a result of which, remember, this new technology and high yielding variety of seeds, HYVs, they all resulted in increase in the productivity of wheat crop in 1966-67. Due to the introduction of new technology, the food grain output was doubled. Clear, two times it increased, twice. The area under irrigation also increased by 68% in 1950 to 71. Just observe this. Almost 2 decades, 1950 to 71. Area which were under the irrigation increased by 68%, food grains increased twice or two times, doubled. Such a spectacular increase in the agriculture production due to the adoption of new technology is considered as Green Revolution. I repeat, the term Green Revolution refers to spectacular increase in agriculture production due to the adoption of new technology is considered as Green Revolution. Remember, in the beginning, I have given the other two definitions. Whatever which is easy for you, just take it, learn properly. You may expect this question for 2 marks, meaning of the term Green Revolution. And apart from Green Revolution, know the abbreviations of these two or expanded forms of IADP and IAAP. Initially 7 districts, later on 114 districts. Mainly the crop which in fact it was taken on experimentation basis, it was wheat crop. Let us move on to the next slide. Different phases of Green Revolution. In fact, the Green Revolution in India is divided into two phases. Observe, the first phase was from 1967 to 82. Second phase 83 onwards, 1983 onwards. Let us discuss both the phases in detail. Remember, the first phase. At this phase, the principal cause, important cause for the rise in yield per hectare was adoption of HYVs. In fact, most of the economists and agro scientists, they attribute the reason for such spectacular increase is introduction of HYVs are hybrid quality of seeds of wheat. Later, these HYVs were developed for paddy also. See, same kind of HYVs, hybrid quality of seeds were developed for paddy. During this phase, the success of Green Revolution was mainly concentrated in some states of Northwest, especially Punjab, Haryana, and parts of UP. See, whenever we think of the term Green Revolution, it was initiated in the northwestern states like Punjab, Haryana, and western UP. Let us move on to second phase. The second phase started after 1983. The features of this particular phase were: one, more food crops could be covered under HYVSC. Initially, in the first phase, HYVs were developed for wheat, later for paddy. But in the second phase, apart from wheat and paddy, it was extended for other crops also. When I say other crops, let us say millets, pulses. For such other Indian crops also, HYVs were developed. Then greater use of improved implements. When I say improved implements, mechanization of agriculture was given thrust importance. Then greater coverage of agricultural land with irrigation. In fact, when I say irrigation, all of you are aware meaning of the term irrigation: artificial supply of water for agriculture purpose. It may be through wells, tanks, and canals. In fact, these HYVs were water hungry. When I say water hungry, they require more water. And in order to provide these HYVs with better irrigation, remember, irrigation facilities were expanded in Indian agriculture, or let us say greater coverage of agricultural land with irrigation, greater availability of rural credit. The farmers were provided with financial assistance, or let us call loan facilities, through nationalized banks, cooperative banks, regional rural banks, NABARD. So, institutional credit facilities were extended to farmers in order to get the requirements of modern irrigation, or let us say irrigation implements. Then expansion of storage and marketing facilities. When I say storage, warehousing facilities were provided through Central Warehousing Corporation, State Warehousing Corporation. Marketing facilities were extended by establishing regulated markets, APMCs, that is Agricultural Produce Marketing Cooperative Societies, and even other cooperative societies were provided, through which marketing became quite easier for the farmers. Then, achievements of Green Revolution. I repeat, achievements of Green Revolution. See, observe all these pictures carefully. The very first picture, it denotes sufficient irrigation facilities for the crops. Second, you observe wheat crop, that is provided. In fact, these are nothing but HYV wheat crop. And these kinds of HYVs require sufficient irrigation, followed by that even fertilizers. Anyway, let us discuss achievements. Come back to higher crop production and yield per hectare. See, that is what Indian government wanted. In fact, we wanted to increase agricultural production. That was achieved. Crop production and yield per hectare also increased. Second, increase in consumption of chemical fertilizers. See, most of the farmers in the northwest, let us call them as progressive farmers of Punjab, Haryana, parts of UP, they started using these new variety of seeds, or HYVs. They require chemical fertilizers, and remember, more and more chemical fertilizers were used. Increase in the area under HYVs. The land area under HYVs increased. Irrigation facilities were expanded, and increase in the number of tractors. Remember, machines were used in agriculture: tractors, tillers, harvesters, combined harvesters, threshers, and all those. Market orientation. More marketing facilities were provided with the intervention of government. Then change in the attitude of farmers. When I say change in the attitude of farmers, farmers became more and more literate. These educated farmers, thus they started accepting the mechanization of agriculture or modernization of agriculture. Then increase in forward and backward linkage effects. I repeat, increase in forward and backward linkage effects. After knowing the achievements of Green Revolution in detail, let us move on to the next slide. Observe in the next slide, we see different varieties of machines which are used in agriculture. We call such agriculture as mechanized agriculture. Such type of mechanized agriculture started in India because of Green Revolution. Observe, different varieties of harvesters are there. Here, water pumps which are used for irrigation purpose. Here you observe intercultivators, cultivator different varieties, sprayers for spraying clear pesticides and insecticides, different kinds of sprayers. So these what you call machines or agricultural equipments were used in Indian agriculture for the first time during Green Revolution. So after knowing this, let us learn advantages and limitations of Green Revolution. Actually, in your textbook, you may not find these advantages and limitations. These are the additional points you practice so that it will be quite helpful for you. Advantages of Green Revolution. First point, yields increased 3 times. When I say yield, productivity increased thrice. Multiple cropping was possible. That means same land, same time, two or more crops were grown. Multiple cropping. That is effective utilization of land was possible. Then other crops grown which varied the diet. In fact, different crops were grown, the diet also varied. Surplus to sell in cities, creating profit, improving the standard of living. In the sense that farmers produced more than what they required for consumption. So that extra what you call productivity, or let us call it a surplus, which they had, they could sell them in the cities, which created profits, in turn improved the standard of living of the farmers. Then allows purchase of fertilizer and machinery. See, as their profit increased, they started reinvesting their profits by purchasing more machines and more chemical fertilizers. India became self sufficient in food grain production. In fact, at the eve of introduction of Green Revolution, there was a requirement of food grains. But think of post Green Revolution period, India was able to achieve self sufficiency in food grain production that can be attributed to Green Revolution. Let us move on to the next slide where we have limitations of Green Revolution. When I say limitations, the negative impact or the disadvantages. The Green Revolution, howsoever impressive, but not 100% success. See, we in fact praise Green Revolution as a blessing in disguise in Indian agriculture, but it is not 100% success. That means there were some loopholes. Only in some states like Punjab and Haryana, in fact, this Green Revolution showed best results, but rest of the country, in fact, was not so much affected like those states. The new farming techniques has given birth to serious pollution of drinking water, causing cancer and other diseases. You know that Green Revolution involved use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, excessive pumping of groundwater. As a result of use of these chemical fertilizers and pesticides, Remember, drinking water caused totally polluted. In turn, it led to the serious diseases like cancer and other diseases. Fourth, a recent Punjab University study found a high rate of genetic damage among farmers. Focus on the term genetic damage, which was attributed to pesticide use. Remember, for the time being, use of fertilizer and pesticide, no doubt it will increase the yield. Income increases, no doubt. But in the long run, it will have health hazards. Then come to point 5. The new organic fertilizers, pesticides, and chemicals are ruining soil. When I say new organic fertilizer, we are talking about clear new type of fertilizers, pesticides, and chemical fertilizers. Let us call than organic. Let us use the word chemical fertilizers. They're totally ruining the soil. Thereby, the soil degrades, or let us say land degrades. And last point, it leads to unemployment and rural urban migration. Why it leads to unemployment? Because of use of machines. Remember, machines will replace men. It will lead to unemployment. As a result, as the rural people are not able to get adequate job opportunities, they migrate from rural areas to urban areas, expecting job opportunities in the cities, and it will create what you call a kind of burden on urban areas. Thank you.